Hi there, welcome to Word on Wednesday. It's our opportunity in the middle of the week to pause and take a moment to reflect on things we looked at Gather Worship on Sunday. Now, this Sunday was our Advent reading, the first one in our Advent series, and it came from Matthew 1:18 to 25, and it's where an angel encourages Joseph not to be afraid to take Mary as his wife, even though she's pregnant. And Matthew kind of reads into this event the fulfillment of a prophecy that was given way back in Isaiah 7. Matthew is looking back into something, looking back at a word that God had given and the events of the past, how God has spoken through the events of the past, so that he might understand a kind of new reality or how God is present in the things of now. And so we were thinking a little about the context of the original word, and it comes from Isaiah 7 and it's around Ahaz is trying to use all his political savvy to get the nation out of a sticky spot. There are two kind of leaders from the north, northern tribes of Israel and Syria, who are going to invade. That's the threat anyway. And Ahaz thinks, right, I'll make an alliance with the big boys on the block, the Assyrians. And God says, don't do it. Don't do it. God sends Isaiah to him and says, don't do it. Just trust me, Ahaz, I got this. And he says, ask any sign you want that I will do this, that you can trust me, and I'll do it, so you know. And Ahaz says no, he just turns him down. So God says, right, I'll give you a sign myself. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and he'll be called Emmanuel, which means God with us. And before he can know enough to choose good food from bad food, this threat, these two leaders that are posing this threat that you are panicking about, they'll be gone. They'll be gone. So this sign becomes a sign for God and of God's faithfulness. And it becomes a sign against Ahaz and his faithlessness. That's the context of the original kind of word. But Matthew picks up on this idea of God with us, a sign that God is with us. That God is kind of breaking out into the affairs of humanity. And he says this is really fulfilled in its ultimate sense in the person of Jesus Christ. So Matthew gives Jesus this title of Emmanuel because he sees in him God with us. Now remember, Matthew is looking back through not only the birth of Jesus, but the life of Jesus, the ministry of Jesus, the death of Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus, the ascension of Jesus, and the coming of the Spirit. And as he looks back through all those events, he begins to see what God has been saying in the person of Jesus. And that is, God is with us. God is with humanity. This is ultimately fulfilled. It was given then and it had a context and an outworking. But now in Jesus Christ, it's kind of exploded into another level and a bigger meaning. So we were using those kind of things to think about how we might look back at the events and the experiences of the year that's just gone, the past year. And we were doing that so we might understand what God has been saying in and through those experiences and events, so that we might understand or be open to or kind of attuned to, it's a better way of putting it, what God is saying now about both our present and the years to come. What has he been saying, so that we might understand what he is saying. You see, Advent is all about preparation, isn't it? Advent just means arrival or coming. And the season of Advent is about preparing ourselves for God to come afresh, to get a fresh sense of God's arrival and breaking into the affairs of humanity. So we raised the question, was it legitimate for Matthew to kind of lift this word out of Isaiah 7 and bring it to now? And the question is yes. Because it's all about looking to the events of the past, looking how God has spoken in the past, so that we might understand how he is speaking to us here in the present. What has God said? What is God saying? And that was our kind of challenge, really. And the backdrop to the challenge was all about preparation. Are we preparing ourselves to hear God afresh? How do we do that? Well, we look back at what he has said, so we understand what he is saying. So what is God saying? That was the challenge that we left ourselves with on Sunday. Looking back to what he has said, so we might understand what he is saying. Don't know where you got with that, but I just encourage you to keep on being open, keep being tuned in, have your radar set to the right frequency, if that's the right kind of terminology. But just that encouragement to be open as we reflect on the year past and look to the year to come. What has God said? What is he saying? Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and may God bless you and continue to speak to you. Amen.